So our next lesson will be configuring and managing cloud identities, and this will be the introduction. So in this module, we will be completing the following exercise using Active Directory Administrative Center and also using New Share Wizard. And after completing this module, we should be able to create Active Directory groups and add members to this new group and create a file share and configure access permissions. So in exercise 1, it will be about using Active Directory Administrative Center. So management of dynamic environments presents various challenges as an organization's network complexity tends to grow over time, adding requirements to address network security and maintaining a coherent record of IT infrastructure. So an Active Directory Administrative Center can be used to enforce a logical approach to manage network object access and store necessary information about these objects as they relate to an organization's hierarchical structure. So utilizing this native Active Directory tool in Windows Server Management proves a means for administrator and security engineers to maintain logical user access while following least privilege access. So in this exercise, the features and functionality of Active Directory Administrative Center will be explored. So for our first task, we'll create and populate a new Active Directory group. So using Active Directory Administrative Center, administrators and security engineers have access to the following. So they have control over user access through logical hierarchical groups and also management of role-based access controls for groups and users to implement mandatory access control and discretionary access control. They can also allocate and deallocate resource access to users based on security groups following least privilege access and programmatically configure the distribution of group policy. So in this task, Active Directory Administrative Center will be used to create a security group and populate a user within it. So let's connect to this machine. So once in the dashboard, we have to navigate to Tools and click on Active Directory Administrative Center. So Tools, Active Directory Administrative Center. So on the Active Directory Administrative Center, click on the arrow next to Practice Lab Local. And from the drop-down menu, double-click Users. So navigate to New under Tasks. And select Group in the drop-down. So once on the Create Group page, type the following into the group name text box. So the group name is File Share Group. Now scroll down to the Members section, and under Member section, click Add. Now once on the Select Users, Contacts, Computer Service Accounts, or Groups dialog box will appear. Now in the Enter the object names to select, you have to type the following: Administrator, and click OK. So if ever you receive an error stating an object name cannot be found, please ensure you have entered the username noted as above, which is administrator. Alright, so once we're back on the create group, it should show file share group page. Now click OK. And you will return to the Active Directory Administrative Center. Now scroll down the users list and verify file share group. So file share group is now listed. Alright, for our second task, it will be about creating and assigning permissions to new file share. So using file share services in the service manager, administrators and security engineers have access to the following. They have control over access to shared folder resources and services to create logical folder, IT infrastructure to shared resources. They can also allocate and deallocate resource access to users based on security groups following least privilege access, and grant access to shared resources stored on a remote server. So in this task, the file share services will be used to create a file name, file share, and populate it. It would populate it with an Active Directory group created in a previous task. So let's connect to this machine. Let's try to reconnect. Okay. So once in the dashboard servers page, click on File and Storage Services. On the File and Storage Services servers page, select Shares, and from the Shares page, click the Tasks drop down arrow and select New Share from the drop-down. So for step 5, the new share wizard selection, the profile for this share. Select the profile for this share. Windows will be displayed. Now the new share wizard will give you 5 options when creating a new share. It could be server message block, SMB, advanced and share application, and network file systems, or NFS, and advanced. The difference are following. So SMB Share Quick is a standard file sharing used by all versions of Windows. SMB Share Quick enables management of full share and NTFS permissions. When it comes to SMB Shared Advanced, this enables sharing with full share and NTFS permission, as well as services provided by File Server Resource Manager. In SMB Share Application, it provides sharing with settings aligned for use with Hyper-V and other applications. When it comes to NFS Share Quick, a standard file sharing protocol used extensively by Unix and Linux systems. NFS Share Quick enables NFS sharing with authentication permissions and access to services provided by File Resource Manager. And lastly, NFS Share Advanced provides NFS sharing with authentication permissions and access to services provided by File Resource Manager. So ensure that the SMB Share Quick option is highlighted and just click Next at the bottom of the window. Now the new share wizard, select the server and path for this share will be displayed. Under Select by Volume, select C. then click Next. Now the new Share Wizard Specify Share Name window will be displayed. Type the following in the Share Name text box. Yes. Now, for example, the name will be used in these steps. Please use your unique share name when this is referenced. So an important note will be the key vault must be unique in the subscription. Thus, the 4 random characters key vaults cannot be traditionally removed until the retention period has expired due to security reasons in a real-world environment. Alright, so notice the local path and remote paths have been pre-populated to include the share name you typed in. Next is just click Next. Now, make sure to tick the Enable Access-Based Enumeration checkbox and ensure the Allow Caching of Share. Step 9 is click the Customize Permissions button. From the Advanced Security Settings, click the Disable Inheritance button at the bottom left-hand corner. Now, a block inheritance warning window will be displayed to verify the intent to make the change. Now, select Convert Inherited Permissions into explicit permissions on this object. Now, once we're back at the Advanced Security Settings window, select the principal users. With read and execute. Okay. So users with the read and execute access. And click Remove. After that, select the principal users with the access special and also click Remove. Now ensure that the only permission entries displayed are the following. So system, administrators, and creator owner. And then click the Add button. Now from the permissions entry window, select a principal web link. Click the select the principal web link. Now from the dialog box, and enter the object name to select, type in the following name, file share group, and click OK. Now, if you ever receive an error stating an object name cannot be found, please ensure you have entered the username as noted above. Now, once we're at the permission entry window, under basic permissions, ensure that the 3 checkboxes for read and execute, list, folder contents, and read are ticked. So read and execute, list folder contents, and read. Select OK. Now verify the following are listed. So we have our file share group, the system, administrator, and creator owner. Click apply to update the object permissions and then hit OK. So the new share wizard window, specify permissions to control access, will be displayed. Just click next and then click create. Now make sure to ensure all tasks show a status of completed. So make sure that the one listed here are the status are completed, and just click close. Now there is a rule close, and then you will return to the File and Storage Services Shares dashboard. Verify the share. The username that we used is displayed under the share selection box. And then open the File Explorer. Go to this PC, local C, and shares folder. Double click the user. This is check. So once we're inside the folder, just right click and click on new and select text document. A new file will be generated in the folder. Name it, let's rename this. Now if the new file displays as new text documents without the option to name the file, just select the file and click the function F2 on your keyboard, or right click and click rename. Now right click on the text document and select properties. Now in this window, just click on the security tab. Select the file share group on the group or usernames. Now note that permissions have now been applied to the file share. So it will display that the options here would be only read and execute and read under the allow column. Click OK. Now for our next exercise, this will be about using Azure Key Vault. So hosting and managing certain resources in Azure, for example, a web application, would add a requirement to securely store credentials to allow access. So Azure Key Vault can be used to store these security credentials without the need for a third-party key management suite. Utilizing the native suite of tools available in Azure will ensure the ease of manageability and compatibility of resources. So in this exercise, the features and functionality of Azure Key Vault will be explored. So for our first task, it will be about creating and populating Azure Vault. So use the Azure Key Vault administrators and security engineers have access to the following. So they have control over all access, keys, and passwords. They also have control over hardware security modules, or HSMs, including the ability to maintain and configure them as necessary. They can also ensure that the applications used on Azure have no access to keys, and automate tasks for SSL and TLS certificates. So in this task, Azure Key Vault will be used to create a vault and populate several items within it. So from the taskbar, let's open Microsoft Edge. And once logged in onto the Azure portal, let's click Create a Resource. And on the Create a Resource page, type the following into the search text box. So let's search for key vault. Right. On the key vault page, just click create. On the Create Key Vault page from the Resource Group dropdown, select the pre-populated resource group. Note that this will be the same as your username as noted in the top right of the Azure portal. Sorry. Bakulit ah. So under the instance details in the key vault name text box, let's type in the name. AV. Just one sec. So the key vault must be unique under the subscription, thus the 4 random characters key vaults cannot be traditionally removed until the retention period has expired due to security reasons in a real-world environment. So under region, select UK South and leave the pricing tier set as standard. Finally, scroll down to the final section, which is to the days to retain. Deleted vaults. Let's type in 7. Ensure that the disable purge protection option is highlighted. Then review and create. Click the review and create button. Now the retention period refers to how long the key vault should be kept in background storage after deletion. It could be between 7 to 90 days. If you were to remove the key vault using the typical resource deletion process, it would warn that only a global administrator can remove them. So once it has been validated, click on the review and create button at the bottom of the page. Now if you ever received an error stating that there were validation errors, please ensure that you have entered all fields noted above. So Azure will be opening a notification in the top right hand of the side of the screen to state that the deployment is in progress. And once the resource has been deployed, you could click and go to resource. Let's just wait for this to finish. So go to resource. Now this will take you to the Key Vault overview page for your newly created vault. Now on the left hand pane of the browser, click in settings and click keys. So under settings, click keys. You can either import or create new security keys to be stored in the vault. The option to import. Okay, so let's click on generate and import at the top of the pane. Now Azure will give you two encryption options when creating keys. So it can be Rivet, Shamir, and Adelman, RSA for short, named after the creators of the method, and ecliptic curve or EC. So the difference are the following. So RSA keys refer to a type of encryption where the RSA algorithm is used to generate a pair of public and private keys. This is the typical encryption method used by SSL certificates for websites, while EC keys refer to a type of encryption where the same pair of keys are generated via an elliptic curve using an algebraic formula. For example, let's use an RSA key. Azure also asks what size you would like this key to be, which notes how many bits are used in the encryption method. So keep the default size to 2048. On the create page, ensure that the option drop-down is set to generate. Now type the following in the name key. And scrolling down the page, tick both set activation date and set expiration date. So setting these dates is not mandatory, but it is shown here for reference. In a real-world scenario, it is best practice to ensure that security keys are enabled and disabled regularly to maximize security. Ensure the enabled option is set to yes and click create. Error occurred. Creating plab key. So I guess there's an error. The operation is not allowed by RBAC. If role assignments were recently changed, please wait several minutes for role assignments to become effective. I still can create screenshot. I see it. Now let's continue just here in the so for step 17, after creating we should be back to the keys page. Notice that the key is listed in the central panel. Click secrets under the settings on the left hand side of the menu. Secrets under settings. I still have an error, so when we're at the secrets page, just click generate import. So secrets in this sense refers to anything that you may want to store in a secret vault, such as a password. Although there are many users for this function, leave the upload option as manual. Type the following in the text box. So secure PW01. In the value field, type the following password. And then click create at the bottom of the page. Microsoft Edge will assume that this is a password being entered into a login field. Just click never in the save password dialog box that appear. And you can now see your password listed on the secrets page. On the left hand side of the page, click certificates. This will direct you to the certificates page, and we can click on generate and import again. Just type the following in the certificate name. And when selecting a certificate authority, Azure provides you with three options. So we have self-signed certificates, which are signed by the creator of the signature and as such have not been verified by a certification authority. So a browser that detects self-signed certificate may warn users that the certificate cannot be verified before accessing the website. Now, certificate issued by integrated CAs are certificates that have been authorized by CAs that Key Vault uses. For example, DigiCert and GlobalSign. Now, certificates issued by non-integrated CA refers to any certificate certified by a third-party CA external to Azure. Now, leave type of certificate authority as the default entry for this example, and just type the following in the subject field. CN equals test. And upon clicking create, the certificates page will open with the new certificate configured as disabled. After a few seconds, refresh at the top of the screen. Certificate will now appear as enabled. It has been auto-signed, an expiration date, and thumbprint, also known as a hash value. Right, and that's it for our module, configuring and managing cloud identities in Practice Lab.